Welcome everyone, this is Magic with Class and I am Jeremy Class. Today we're going to be talking about the banned and restricted announcement that the Wizards of the Coast just posted earlier today on October the 12th. Now a lot of people knew that this was coming. The rumors have been circulating for, maybe 2 days now. Someone found an odd link that everyone agreed probably meant that there would be a ban or restricted announcement today. And lo and behold, yesterday, but a little before midnight, they announced that there were going to be changes to standard, historic, and brawl. So speculation has been running rampant as to what exactly would get banned. And I don't think anyone is surprised that they decided to ban Omnath, Locus of Creation. The tournament that was just held this weekend, the 2020 Grand Finals, proved that Omnath is still a dominant force in the metagame, or at least he was before today. A huge number of the top decks had Omnath in them. So, and I think this came as a surprise to no one. Everyone knew that once Uro was banned, that Omnath would continue to be dominant. That was not the card that they needed to hit in order to make the standard metagame more diverse. And I think they were just waiting and hoping as someone would finally find an answer to Omnath. But the fact that Kaldheim is so many months away, there's not going to be a standard shakeup anytime soon. I think they finally decided to, even if it affects paper sales, to get rid of Omnath Locus of Creation. And even though it is going to probably in the short term affect the paper sales, they probably weren't making a lot on paper anyway. A lot of the money that they're making today is based on Magic Arena, their online client. And it was steadily, participation in their standard tournaments was declining. And a lot of the reason was if you were playing, you were going to see the same decks over and over and over. And specifically, you were going to see the same card over and over and over. And that was Omnath, Locus of Creation. I think he's ubiquitous, I guess. However, there was actually a card that saw more play than Omnath over the weekend. And that was the adventure card, Bone Crusher Giant. Bone Crusher Giant sees play in basically any viable top deck right now. It saw play in the Omnath Ramp decks. It saw play in Gruul decks. It saw play in Gruul Adventures. It saw play in 4-color Ramp. Any possible deck that could fit Bone Crusher Giant. Any deck running any amount of red was basically running that card. It functions as a shock, and then it functions as a slightly above average on curve creature. It's a 2/4/1, and it's very important in the metagame right now because they decided not to ban Lotus Cobra. Lotus Cobra is a very powerful turn 2 play. It always has been. We've seen this before. And a Lotus Cobra into Omnath or into something else was very strong. So now Omnath is banned, but Lotus Cobra they didn't touch. A lot of people are a little surprised that they did not ban Lotus Cobra. A lot of people thought, hey, Lotus Cobra had its day in the sun. This is a reprint. It's not even very expensive, especially not compared to Omnath. I think Omnath was 4 times the price of Lotus Cobra. Maybe still is, even though I expect the price of Omnath Locus of Creation to plummet. However, since Lotus Cobra got to stay in the format, they did not want to ban Bone Crusher Giant because he is a very good counter, not in the Magic the Gathering sense. He's a very good card to play against all the Lotus Cobras, and we are likely to still see in some capacity. Maybe this is finally it for green. Maybe they've banned enough cards in green that that green's place in the metagame is going to rapidly decline. I do think that Rakdos decks, red-black decks, are or Ju. Well, hopefully just red-black, right? So hopefully red-black decks are at the moment very strong in the metagame. I don't think anything got hit with the Rakdos mid-rangey sacrifice type decks. So we're gonna actually keep an eye on those decks to see if they take control of the metagame. So Omnath was banned, but he was not the only card banned in Standard. So basically everyone was saying if you ban Omnath, you would still have the overall problem, and now there would be one dominant deck. And that deck would probably be the Adventures deck. Gruul Adventures, 4-color Adventures, both of them are very good decks. Both of them play Bone Crusher Giant, but they also play Lucky Clover. Lucky Clover is an artifact. It's very powerful. It doubles the effects of the adventure cards without having to pay any additional mana or any additional costs. And it's in any type of adventure deck this would see play because it's colorless. So even if there were variants on adventure decks in the future, maybe some askew a different color or go in a different direction. Murderous Rider is another strong adventure card that I don't think has been seeing as much play as it probably should have been. They would have included Lucky Clover. One card that they did not ban that everyone was probably thought they should was Edge Wall Innkeeper, the 1-mana creature that lets you draw every time you play an adventure. I guess they didn't want to kill the adventure deck completely, but with the ban of Lucky Clover, I think that's what they did anyway. They also banned one other card, which was not on my radar. I think this is more commonly played now after the Earl ban than it was before, and that card is Escape to the Wilds, which is a green and red card. So basically what Escape to the Wilds does is that it gets you to your late game plays extraordinarily quickly while also finding those plays. So it's basically a bridge from Omnath into your game ending threats, because Omnath is more of a value card. It can end the game, but it's more of a value card. Your game ending threats of Ultimatum and Ugin. Basically there was some talk about whether that Ultimatum card and whether Ugin should get banned, but instead I guess banning Escape to the Wilds was a good move because it makes those cards that much more difficult to both find, and it makes those more difficult to cast when you're also trying to cast cards that cost 2, 3, and 4. So they didn't ban Genesis Ultimatum or Ugin the Spirit Dragon, but in their article they explicitly mentioned that Escape to the Wilds was banned so that you couldn't get to those powerful payoff cards of Genesis Ultimatum and Ugin the Spirit Dragon. I think that's true to an extent. There may be other decks that will play these two cards in the future, maybe more of a dedicated ramp strategy. We are going to have to see. Also, Wizards knows things that we don't. Obviously, they know what the metagame is going to look like come January and beyond. So maybe there are reasons why they would ban Lucky Clover, Escape to the Wilds, and Omnath over some of the other choices that they could have banned. So basically, those are the changes in Standard. I think everyone is pretty happy with that. I don't think there's going to be another ban in Standard for quite a while, but I do think we should start used to seeing these bans much more frequently. Mark Rosewater has said that he's only interested in banning a card maybe once every 5 to 7 years. And for most of Magic in Standard, and for most of the Magic's history, that has been the case. However, now I think the way that they want to sell more and more packs and get people more and more excited for the product, I think they're being told to take greater risks. Just print things. Don't think too much about the power level. In fact, make it as powerful as possible so that people will need to buy these sets to compete in modern, legacy, vintage, which Oko has seen play in all of those formats. So I think they're telling him, you know what? If anything is a problem, we can always ban 2 or 3 cards. So push 2 or 3 cards to the moon. If there's an issue in standard, we can just get rid of them. I don't think that's a very good mindset, however, for the future health of the game, because I think it really is driving people out of standard. Right now, I think standard in Magic Online is not doing great. I think today we're going to see a big boost in Magic Arena games because the metagame is fresh. People aren't sure what other people are playing. There are still decks that were pretty good, Dimir Rogues and Rakdos mid-range, but we may see new decks compete that can deal with those decks or directly counter those decks, or maybe just cards that are really good but just were edged out by Omnath and 4-color, good stuff decks. So in Historic, which I don't play, Omnath has also been banned, and 3 cards that were suspended have just been officially banned. And that was Teferi Time Raveler, and Wilderness Reclamation and Omnath. So those are the 3 cards that were banned. Yeah, those cards shouldn't have. I don't know why they make a difference between suspended and banned. Because you can bring a banned card off the list at any time. So that's what, just like their waiting pile to see if people forgive that card's transgression so they can put it back into the game. One interesting note about Historic is that Burning Tree Emissary has come off the suspended or banned. No, it was suspended. So now you can play Burning Tree Emissary again. And the reasons that they listed was that the power level of the format has gone up. That's true with the Omnicat Remastered, and Jumpstart did bring some pretty powerful cards into the format. So I think Burning Tree Emissary is a pretty good choice. We'll see how Gruul decks do. I know after it was initially suspended, they kind of suffered. So hopefully bringing this card back will let those types of fairer decks do a little better. Even though I guess no one wants to see you slam 4 Burning Tree Emissaries in one turn. And then a 5th card, which is very plausible. It happens. So finally in Brawl, which is again a format that I do not play. I love to play Commander. However, just haven't really gotten into Brawl. I do like the fact that Brawl allows you to play Planeswalkers as like the commanders. I do not know what the format of Brawl is really like. I know it does rotate. Right now, though, it seems like Omnath, Locus of Creation, was also dominant in Brawl. According to like the release that they set out, Omnath was the highest, most played commander, and also had the highest win rate. So, blah, blah, blah. Brawl is for diversity, so it's banned. However, it says that it will remain legal in historic Brawl events on Arena. So is the card even banned? So what are they saying? That the card is banned in paper, but not banned on Arena? So can you do that? Can you ban a card in a format on paper, but not in the video game? That seems to be what they did. And it even gives an additional note that they have a commander weighting system, and that if you do use Omnath Locus of Creation on MTG Arena, you will be more frequently paired against other similarly powerful commanders. So what does that mean? So I guess in Brawl, depending on what your commander is, if it's considered a powerful commander, you're only going to be placed with opponents that have a similarly powerful commander. That's kind of weird because, first of all, what defines a powerful commander? Is it the win rates? Is it the rate of play that determines which of these brawl commanders are the most powerful? I don't know, and they have not said. I'm assuming it's win rates. So I'm assuming that a few commanders, probably Winota, unless isn't Winota banned in brawl too? But if it's not, I assume that Winota would be a brawl commander on par with Omnath, Locus of Creation. So I guess if you're seeing a lot of those pairings, that's what you can expect. I would love for someone who actually plays brawl on MTG Arena to go into the comments and let me know what they think about that. I think it's just an odd decision though. I think eventually, if they want brawl to last, and maybe they don't because it seems like brawl is becoming a dead format. But if they want it to last, I think they need to keep the paper rules for brawl and the MTG Arena rules the same. Otherwise, it's going to lead to some bad feelings when I bring my Omnath Locus of Creation deck in person in 2 months, and then someone's like, "Well, I'm not playing against that deck; it's banned." And then the person says, "What do you mean? I just played this deck online yesterday," and they're like, "Yeah, but it's banned in paper; it's just not banned online." So that's another conversation to have. And is that something they're going to do in standard? For example, Scoot Swarm is having a lot of issues on MTG Arena in terms of programming. So would they ban that just on MTG Arena and allow that to happen in paper because there's less issues? So anyway, this is Magic with Class, always reminding you to gather with class. Stay safe and have a great night.